a great meeting coming up today with a few exciting things happening. We have two panels that we're going to experience today, and so it'll be quite fun for us to learn a little bit more about leadership. Are there any announcements that anyone wants to make before we begin our meeting? Well, hearing none, I call this meeting to order. Our first session, our speaker is Henry Nandini. Marvin Henry. How about that? I get the names mixed up. Marvin is the Vice President of Public Relations of Calgary Advanced Toastmaster, and he's a member of the Igniters Toastmasters. Marvin has been area governor, division governor, pathway guide, and has many years' experience working with area and division directors. As well, he's had service as chief judge for area and division contests. Recently, he worked on the District 42 technology team, organizing online club Zoom meetings. He's been hosting Circle of Gold meetings, and today Marvin's assignment is an elective for his pathways at the level 5. He will be giving members an opportunity to build their relationships with their incoming directors, and will give the directors an opportunity to share their experience and goals and lessons. So for the next 40 minutes, you will be part of a session entitled Meet Your Leaders. Please help me to welcome your first moderator of the evening, distinguished Toastmaster, Marvin Henry.
Thank you, Ray. Just 1 second here, me fix this. Thank you, Ray, and fellow Toastmasters. Welcome to the Calgary Advanced Toastmasters Meet Your Leaders. Today we're going to meet all the different district directors and get to know them better and find out how they tick, how they work, what lessons they have for us, and we can ask them questions to find out what their goals are for next year. Let me introduce our panel for tonight. First, we have our incoming Club Growth Director, Katrina Arbora. Katrina is a proud member of Calgary Advanced Toastmasters and also a member of Talk of the Hill Toastmasters in Calgary. This recently in February, she got her Distinguished Toastmaster and is also on level 4 in presentation mastery and pathways. She's very proud of her team because she's right now currently the division director, division F director, and is very proud of her team. She has 9 clubs that are distinguished and 5 present distinguished clubs in her division. And she's really excited about becoming Club Growth Director this following year, as she's looking forward to help and benefit the Toastmasters in the new program. Let's say hi to Katrina. Say hi, Katrina.
Hello, thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Next, we have incoming Division A Director, Jeff King. Let me find his, oh yeah, yes. Jeff is a member of Bow Valley Toastmasters at the Danish Club downtown. That Bow Valley Toastmasters is the second oldest club in Calgary. He's currently an executive there and spends a lot of time on Zoom meetings and Skype meetings and all sorts of activities. He's also distinguished Toastmaster, and recently he was Toastmaster for the Area 15 Human Speech Contest. Jeff, I know him very well because he's always been one of my favorite judges as well, and always coming to the plate to judge whenever I send him an email. So let's welcome Jeff King. Say hi, Jeff.
Good evening, everyone.
Next, we have Aruna. I can't let her pronounce your last name.
That's Ariel.
Okay. Aruna is from Regina, and she's the incoming Division B director. She's a member of FCC's Double Jumpers and Weekend Roadmasters, and also Pal of the Bones in Regina, 3 different clubs in Regina. She's also the coach of Pal of the Bones in Regina, and served as district area director ending her year with a distinguished area. She's a district spotlight coordinator and the sponsor lead for the pre-COVID and the public relations for the Rotary Club event this last weekend. Yes, I saw her on the event. We had the president speaking at the event last weekend. She completed her Advanced Leadership Browns and Advanced Communication Gold, and working on her Advanced Leadership Silver and DTM to finish by the end of this year. And she's also on 2 paths and completed level 5 in 1 and level 3 in the other path. Let's please welcome Aruna. Say hi.
Hi.
Next, we have incoming Division Director C, Randy Mouse.
Hello, everybody.
So Randy is a full-time executive leader and for executives and entrepreneurs, and he's committed to his clubs and the Toastmaster and Toastmaster members. He's a member of MVP Advanced Toastmasters and Regulators. He's also the first person in our district to get a DTM in the Pathways program. And currently he's baking bread and made especially challah, Moroccan kaswa bread, and Nigerian spice bread. Hey, Randy.
Hello, District 42.
Okay, I asked the questions, Nadine will introduce the other directors in the second half. So let's get to meet first Katrina.
Hello.
Hi, Katrina. Can you tell us exactly what is the Club Growth Director? What does it do, and what do we expect from a Club Growth Director?
Thank you so much for this question, Marvin. It's very timely, especially where I'm coming into the role. So where I'm an incoming division or Club Growth Director, one of the things I've been doing is trying to figure out what the role is and figure out how I want to do it. So it's interesting that I was reading something recently, and I didn't know this, but the Club Growth Director was previously called the Marketing Director. So I will be using marketing initiatives and public relations initiatives to raise the profile of Toastmasters throughout the district so that we can bring in new members and grow our clubs. So you have to know what you're going to do, which is use different initiatives and different tools to get the end result. And the end result will be to attract more members. And I think one thing that's really interesting about the Club Growth Director position is that, and I have thought this myself, is that people will often question and say, why do we have to work on growing new clubs? Why don't we just focus on the clubs that need help? But I think it's kind of like at the club. At the club, you have some members that come for a short period of time and some that are lifers, like most of us that are on the call. And because of that, you will have a certain amount of movement with your membership. So you're always trying to attract new members, and you're always trying to retain your members. So it's the same when you're looking at the clubs throughout the district. You're always trying to attract new members because it is inevitable that some clubs may change and may not last forever, but you're also trying to help those clubs that are trying to last forever. And I know last year when I was a division director, or was area director, the year before, I was invited to a 60th anniversary at Chinook. And I thought it was amazing to see a club that's been a great, strong club that has been around for 60 years. So of course, what we're hoping is that all of our clubs are clubs that are going to meet the needs of their members and are going to last for 60 years. But I did think it was interesting that Grant was saying at one point, his club was down to 3 people. So I do want to be there for the clubs that are currently at 3 people or 7 people or under 12 people, and to try and find coaches that will work with them to help them withstand the low period so that they too can be a club that's been around for 20 years. But also you might have a group of people who are 20 or 30 who find out about our program and are really interested in belonging and want to keep their group together. So of course we want to work with people that are interested in starting a new club and take that enthusiasm of 20 or 30 new people who find out about our program and are really excited about it. And we want to put the right people in place to help clubs that need help, to recognize clubs that are strong, who are Presidents Distinguished last year and the year before and this year, and make sure they stay on track, and also attract new members and new clubs so that everybody who's interested in the Toastmasters program, which is an amazing program, can take advantage of what we have to offer and use it to improve their lives. And that's why I'm here as the Club Growth Director elect.
Thank you, Katrina. Let me see here. Thanks for that answer. Well said. Thanks a lot. I'm going to move on to Jeff King. Jeff King, why did you decide to become division director this year or next year?
Well, thank you, Marvin. I'm not even started yet, and the meetings are already beginning to pile up. So I'm actually beginning to ask myself that very question. Why did I do this? Actually, I was asked to consider doing this, and I did consider it. And after consideration, and with my brain saying, no, 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 don't do this, I thought, why not? After all, I've been a Toastmaster for 13 years, and I've gained much from that experience. So I felt that it was time to give back. And as with any volunteer organization, we can't expect it to be there when we want it unless we engage to ensure its continued survival and success. So it's really a question of service to Toastmasters and to all the members. I suppose as senior Toastmasters, and I'm senior in more than one way, it's our responsibility to mentor the next generation of participants and leaders. Mr. Moderator.
Great, thank you, Jeff. Yes, both you and Katrina are implying it's all about the members and service to the members, how to please your members. So great answer there, Jeff. Thanks, thank you. Next we have Arima. Why did you become division director for next year?
Well, my story is kind of same with Jeff. I have been asked to be the division director, and I was really thinking, and obviously my brain was also saying no. But somehow some of my mentors were able to convince me. But there were 3 very specific reasons that I wanted to be a division director. I have worked as an area director, and I learned a lot. And I realized the more I get opportunity to meet my fellow Toastmasters, the more I will be able to give back the endless help that I have got to become a good leader in my life from my fellow Toastmasters. The second reason is to experience the growth of my fellow Toastmasters and be able to help them closely with my utmost capacity. Because it's really an amazing experience when I see someone joined and growing fast and becoming better than me. The third reason is I want to learn and improve as a leader. I know that I know a little, and I also know that I don't know a lot. That always helps me to have a very open mind and learn from everyone I meet. So I want to learn and improve as a leader, a Toastmaster, and above all, as a human being working with different fellow members and teams. These are the very specific 3 reasons that I wanted to be a division director. Thank you, Marvin.
Thank you, Mina. Thank you.
Arunima, can you please pronounce my name at
Arunima.
least?
Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Randy. Randy Mouse. Why did you decide to become division director?
In Canadian parlance, I will make it a hat trick and say it because I was asked. And what you really probably want to know is beyond that, what was interesting about the position. And it really goes back to a training I attended this past spring where I was facilitating a VP PR session. Ironically, I've never been a VP PR, but I can facilitate the heck out of any meeting. What stood out to me is at the end of we're talking in the meeting and we're sharing about our experiences, and there was a person in that meeting who has been a VP PR for 2 years. And I asked him at the end of the meeting, I said, why aren't you leading this session? And you know what he said? Nobody asked me. Which goes back to the beginning reason that the first 3 division directors are here, maybe even the last 3 division directors are here. Someone asked. And that's why I think there's a real opportunity for us. We have lots of leadership opportunities for people who choose to get involved, but the most common way for people to get involved is to be asked. And I think we need to create a culture of asking people to get involved, but not the same people we always see. I had never really seen him in that way, in a leadership role like that, serving his division when he had tremendous ability to do that. And I think we need to tap into that more as we grow our leaders. From the very beginning of starting our roles, we need to get our teams thinking about who are the next leaders coming in. We're not waiting till elections. We're not waiting till the new year. Right from day one, who do you see that could be the next great leader on your team, in your division, in a club, at the district level? It doesn't matter. But we need to ask and get people thinking about taking on these roles more too, I think. It's easy for the people who jump in, but there are many people who are sitting in positions right now because someone asked them to get involved. And I think we can do that a little sooner in the process and hope to develop a more robust and a deeper bench on the hockey team of Toastmasters. Oh, I think you're muted still, Marvin.
Thank you, Randy. Excellent answer. Always good to ask people. That's what I like doing. Asking your friends, your fellow members in your club, ask them to step up and take on a leadership role because they never know what they can do once they have an opportunity to perform. Yes. I like to ask Nandini a lot of questions or favors. So next I'm going to mix up a bit here and ask some more questions. I think I'm going to ask Jeff King a question now. What challenges have you had in the past that you overcome that you think that will help you or assist you in your next year as division director?
Thank you, Marvin. I'll address this in 2 parts, Toastmasters and life. As I said, I've been a Toastmaster for 13 years and have held many positions in our club and at the area level. But I started like all new members, lacking confidence and wondering if I belonged. And since that time, I have gained confidence, and I found that I do have a lot to contribute to the club. I achieved my DTM, and more importantly, I think I have become one of the driving members in our club. Our club is 65 years old, and it's changed dramatically. I wasn't there all those time, but it's changed dramatically over the years since I joined it. And now we're operating with Zoom, which is an interesting new and different experience. In terms of life challenges, as you can see by my beard, I have reached the age of great wisdom, or so they say. Most of my career was as a freelance consultant, finding, executing, and delivering assignments. I worked in international development, mostly in Africa, and every job was different, and almost every job involved a new team. Eventually, my assignments were increasingly as team leader, managing both small and multi-million-dollar projects in difficult environments. Why anybody would put me in charge of a multi-million-dollar project, I don't know. But there you go. That's the experience I bring. Mr. Moderator.
Awesome, Jeff. Great list of challenges there and task assignments. I like that. Always tough to do those management jobs, especially those large companies and large projects. Let's go back to Randy. I'm sort of curious here because I'm a Pathways guy myself and done a few Pathway levels, level 4 right now. I want to know, Randy, what motivated you and what was your experience of becoming the first distinguished Toastmasters in the Pathways program?
Great question. I got involved in Toastmasters originally because I thought it would be a great place to develop my skills. A laboratory for speaking gave me an excuse to develop my content for my work and my business, for what I do in coaching others and speaking. And it really turned into that. I was partway in when those who may know Cheryl Dust talked to me a little bit about this distinguished Toastmaster thing. And this was before Pathways had launched, but Pathways had started to be promoted. I met with her and talked to her about which to do. Should I try and cram in a traditional, a legacy DTM or a Pathways DTM? And we had a good conversation. In the end, it made sense to do with Pathways. I was close to finishing a CC, or maybe had finished a CC, but I decided to do the Pathways DTM, largely because if life happens, whatever progress I make will continue and stay with me. There was no deadline to get it done, unlike the legacy program at that time. Largely, I chose to get involved and go towards the Distinguished Toastmaster because I thought, oh, well, I'm attending, I'm speaking, I don't mind getting involved and leading and taking on these various activities. So if I'm going to do that and there's a credential of some kind, why not? In the process, I've certainly had a lot of opportunity to apply a number of skills. I've had an opportunity to kind of coach and mentor others as well as to learn from others. And that's been very rewarding. And that's taken me on the path to DTM. It's given me a good focus and been able to power through and learn a lot on the way.
Great, thanks, Randy. You're gonna pick your brain for sure next year with all the people going up the ladder in Pathways. So thanks again, Randy. Arunima, how about you? Hi, how's it going? We haven't got to know each other too well yet. I've met a few times on Zoom and a few times in person. But tell us about your leadership style. What is your leadership style, especially for next year?
Sorry, Marvin. What's the question?
Can you describe your leadership style?
Oh, my leadership style.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a very good question. In Pathways Level 2, we actually have to talk about our leadership style and our communication style, but I don't go into that detail. I like to be very democratic. So I always prefer to get alignment from everyone. And for area, I had created for my area council an alignment model, which has 5 levels of alignments. Level 1 is when you are not aligned and you really don't like and you don't want to do it. Level 2 is you don't like, but you will do it. Level 3 is it does not matter to you, you will do it anyway. Level 4 is you are intellectually aligned and you will do it, but emotionally you are not with the decision. And level 5 is you are emotionally and intellectually aligned, which is the expected level. And when we worked on it and when we find anybody is not level 5 aligned, we always discussed and tried the best to make sure that everybody is level 5 aligned. So my way of leadership is democratic, and I prefer the alignment model. And also there are 2 other things that I have a presentation that I created for my area council and my clubs is the 2 basic backbone of my leadership style is I expect 100% accountability from myself and from everyone in my team, and also a committed partnership from myself and towards everyone in my team. Which means we don't blame, we grant grace, we trust. You don't have to earn it, we grant it. And if you fail, we will not judge because we don't know the full picture. We don't feel like victim. We will always take the ownership of our action, and we will try to help each other like a committed partner so that everybody reaches the success that we want to. Thank you, Marvin. Did I answer your question? Hi.
Yeah, thank you. Excellent answer. I always think I'm a level 5, but maybe I'm level 4 sometimes. So yeah, so always.
Yeah, for me also, most of the time at work, I'm level 4 because I generally don't bring my emotion at work. But for Toastmaster, because it's something that I love to do, I seriously bring my emotion a lot. So I expect everybody to do that because it's volunteer work. We don't get money out of it. We just
Right.
get satisfaction and happiness.
Excellent. Yeah, I think can you go to level 4 halfway through your term, like maybe a few weeks in your term, then go level 5?
Yeah, you go most
Like-
unless you are in level 1, like where you don't care and you don't want to do. From any other level, you can go to level 5 slowly, working with your mentors, your friends, your committed partners, because everybody is a committed partner to everybody according to the expected structure that I want to have.
Awesome. Yeah, teamwork and mentoring, 2 things I heard there for sure. Let's go to Katrina. Katrina, what lessons or advice can you give to our members that you learned over the many years in Toastmasters you've been?
Oh, I've learned so many lessons, but I think the most valuable one I learned was last year when I was doing an HPL project, and you were one of my advisors. So I'm not pandering to the moderator. But I remember thinking, like as a beginning Toastmaster, I would look at the people around me and I was astounded by their talent. I was astounded by how much confidence they had, by the projects they did, the speeches they did, the evaluations they did. And I was always thinking, I want to be like that person, and I want to apply myself and put in effort and hopefully be able to be as good as the people around me. And I do remember that one of the things I thought was that people that were really, really good leaders would be so organized. And that's something I struggle with because I'm a naturally disorganized person. So I have to really work at structure and organization in my life. But I thought there were people that were just so naturally good at that they didn't have challenges because they would avoid them by being a good leader. And I remember when we were doing the HLPL project, and it asked in the manual to list some of the challenges you had in executing your HPL project. And I thought that that was a really interesting lesson for me, because it showed me all of the challenges that I had from the beginning of the project to the end of the project, and the actions that I had to take to overcome them. And I also learned, because I had discussions with other leaders who I really admire when I was doing that project, that really good leaders aren't people that don't have challenges. Really good leaders are people who overcome challenges. And sometimes you might have a plan in your mind about how something is going to be executed, but you often have to pivot and show flexibility and adjust your strategy as you're going through a project, any given project. So I think sometimes you start with an ideal picture in your head about how something is going to go, and then you have challenges as you're progressing, and you change your strategy to adjust to that. And sometimes, I don't know, you can have a synchronicity where things don't go as planned, but sometimes the things that go not as planned actually work out better than the way you had originally planned it anyway. So I think there's always, to any kind of leadership, an element of planning, an element of flexibility, and an element of appreciating the results, whatever those results are, maybe. And you always learn from it so that you're different going into the next project as well. So thank you for being my advisor, Marvin and Nandini.
Thank you there, Katrina. Excellent. I didn't actually plan that, but it worked out better than expected. Yeah, it's always good to have one person who's spontaneous, another person who's a planner. Makes a great couple, that's for sure. A planner and a spontaneous person. What that reminds me of. Let's move on to, let's go back to Randy. I like that pathways thing. Randy, I'm kind of curious about this DTM project and pathways. Can you tell us how can you apply those skills that you learn in pathways, especially those team projects, leadership projects, DTM, HPL? How can you apply that to next year as your division director?
Starting a project like a DTM project or an HPL, it's important to have a vision and to think a bit broader than our own experience and consider the experience at various levels in the organization. Obviously, the member experience, I think, is the most important experience because that drives everything else. The only thing that comes before the member experience is the guest experience. And you want to make sure that's pretty darn good too. Having worked with pathways and really thinking about the members, I was charged, being a transition year, how do we help those who are transitioning from a legacy program to the pathways program? How do we help our new members as well as our veteran members? That's an interesting challenge. Because in our organization, especially being a volunteer organization, we can't, there was no way I could do one-on-one training with everyone. Or even if I had my team, there's no way we could do a one-on-one training for everyone. And that wouldn't be sustainable in terms of our organization either, as far as a district. So we had to think a bit beyond that about how do we impact the individual member in terms of their experience around the Pathways program, knowing that we may not be the ones directly providing that training or experience in the moment to that person. It was a good challenge because it got us thinking about first developing a useful program that could help people, then taking it to the next level and how did we make that more available. Right away we knew being at training was important. That's the one time people are already taking time out of their busy schedule to come to focus on their learning, and it was a hot topic. Every session was 40+ people, standing room only, providing training sessions, and that was one aspect of reaching a number of people. And every time we'd reach those people, we wanted to make sure that they knew that it's really their responsibility to pay it forward, to become, what our hope was to create super users. Now maybe that worked. That was a little harder to track. But we also took what we had developed by then and made an on-demand program that anyone can access, 24/7, available to any member. seeing that program develop from how are we going to help a member get going with pathways, whether they're new or a veteran, what is going to be an appropriate training, and then making it available. That evolution of process, I think, is a very useful experience that can be brought to any leadership position, including this division director that I have this year.
Thank you, Randy. Awesome answer there. Yes, those I always find, I'm always impressed how many members are on pathways and doing fairly well in pathways. So great to hear that. Thanks again. On to you, Jeff. Jeff, tell us some about your goals for next year. What kind of Toastmaster goals do you have for you and your team, or your division next year?
Myself, my goals are mostly directed towards the club. I achieved my DTM last year. I took a bit of a break in terms of doing things for myself. I'm now got started on pathways, and I certainly hope to take that upwards. But my major interest at the club level is in just helping other people in the club achieve their goals. We've got some really good speakers and some people that are struggling, but I think being a mentor to people is something very important to me. In terms of the division, I'm only just starting, but I already see that we have some issues in the division. We've got 2 areas with only 3 clubs, and we've got apparently got a lot of weak clubs if I look at the number of members and the DCP points that they've got so far. So I think clearly that those are areas we need to address, ensure that those clubs sustain themselves and improve, increase their membership, and get those DCP points up, because that shows that they're going through the program and learning as they go along.
Excellent, Jeff. Thanks again. Thanks. I got a broad question. Yeah, are we still looking for area directors in our divisions, Jeff? How about you?
Division A has only got 2 out of 5 directors confirmed. I think there's 1 other being identified, but we still need 2 more at least.
Division B has got all the area directors. We had 1 missing in the last meeting and found 1.
Well, congratulations there. Excellent. Yeah. Have you ready? Do you have yours or?
Yes, I am very thankful. The selection committee did a great job, and there were a number of folks who were interested. So I do have a full slate, a full team for the upcoming year.
Oh, congratulations. Yeah, excellent. Okay.
If you've got extra ones, Randy, send them over to Division A. We could use them.
See what I can do.
Okay. I think we need some more down in E and F too. So thanks, Jeff. Yeah, if you got any leaders out there, ask your members if they're interested to step up. Let's move on to Namima. How about you? What are your goals for next year? Can you tell us your goals? You can, especially in Regina.
Before I answer, may I ask you why were you laughing?
Oh, 2 reasons. 2 reasons, but I will talk to that later. Go on.
Okay. What is the question? Sorry.
What are your goals for next year as division director for your team and for yourself?
Goals for Division B should be having more educational goals completed, and to do that, there are different steps to achieve. First thing, that we have a couple of clubs which has less members, like 11 or less than 11 members. So we have right now 3 clubs like that. 1 club is going to be closed. So one area would have only 3 clubs. We have a plan to get another club from Regina Open Door Society, but that is yet to be established. So my first goal would be to make sure that each area has at least 4 clubs. And if any club is struggling with members less than 11, then appoint a coach, which the club will be feeling very comfortable with, and working with the area directors so that the club coach get all the helps. And really thankful to Katrina, Christina, and the team who actually created all those club coach magic materials. And I think Randy was also part of that. I used it immensely. The club that I am coaching, they get their DCP points. The problem is with this COVID, they lost a lot of members because a lot of people lost their jobs. And it's hard to get people now. But we are getting people in different clubs from different countries. Now one of the Division B club has got members from Australia and Sri Lanka. So this is interesting. I would try to use this situation and this Zoom meeting opportunity to have more members in clubs which are struggling. And when people are happy and they can join from their home with their own expense, like there is no extra money but the $10 per month, I am expecting that we will be able to mentor everyone to do most of the educational things that they want to do in their own pace and achieve more than 152. Like, I like targets, I like goals, and I like to achieve them. And I always feel like if I'm not better than the previous day, then I'm not alive. I'd try to imbibe the same thing in my team, that we have to be better in some or other way. Thank you.
Thank you, Elimar. Yes, it's always good looking for coaches and mentors. You know, I've been a coach or club specialist back in the day, and a mentors and a club mentor, and it's always fun to mentor clubs and new clubs, and also coach current clubs to get strong.
It is very challenging too.
Yeah, yes, that's for sure.
Sometimes like I have an experience with a club where the club had people who are very experienced and they think they are good. They don't need 12 members or 13 members. They're good to have 8 or 9 members. They don't need anybody else. They're okay, they're happy. They don't need anybody else to tell them what they need to do. So yeah, it's very challenging and very interesting. And that's why I'm very grateful whatever District 42 has done for us for club coaching. Because those are very alive presentation.
Yeah, great. Oh, thank you. Thanks again. Thanks again. Let's open up to the floor for a while and see if you've got any questions for our guests here. So do you have a question from a guest for any of these 4 directors, Katrina, Jeff, Randy, or Minmar?
I have a question. Do we just blurt it out or do we have to go through the moderator?
No, you can go ahead, Loretta. Let's go ahead.
Okay, I have a question for Arunima. You talked about your leadership style, and I was just wondering if that has changed over time since you've been a Toastmaster. And if so, how has that changed?
Okay, that's a very good question. I think the leadership style that I talked about has not been changed after I became a Toastmasters. Things that has been added as ornaments to my leadership style and made me more refined and a better human being and a better leader. Those are, first one is having patience. I used to have a very severe problem of having patience. I really learned to have patience. Number 2, expecting uncertainty all the time. As I mentioned, I prefer accountability, and that I prefer 100%. If I commit that I will do something, unless there is something is killing me, I would do that. So I used to expect the same thing from other people. After I did my 2 HPLs, I really learned that I should have one plan A, second plan B, and third plan C. Because I had experiences where the moment when the event is going to start within 2 hours, people called me who are my trainers and said, oh, I cannot come. And I had to change to someone. So I always had like printouts and things like that. So, and I also had other people planned. If that person cannot do, then other person can do. So I learned how to be more graceful. I was graceful, but probably a little bit. I learned how to be more graceful, how to have more patience, how to have a lot of plans and be okay with any kind of change. And don't judge at all if anything happens, because I don't know the full picture. So it strengthened my leadership style. It made me refined. And there is a lot more refinement needed. I know that. And it could not happen because, it could not happen if I didn't have all the mentors that I had. Like I have endless mentors. Everybody whom I met, they teach me something all the time.
Excellent. Thanks, Ingrid. Thank you. Lynette Zitterman, you got a question there?
Hi, Marvin. Thank you very much for the time. I'm going to address this question to Katrina and also one of the other area division directors, and can share the time slot. With the COVID outbreak and what has happened, we have turned the threat of the attacks, to membership in our clubs into opportunities where we have developed online meetings. And as such, our community has broadened. There will come a time when we need to step back and go back in the basements of our churches and all that. What do you see the future of online meetings to be in relation to the going back in-person meetings? Do you understand?
Yep.
Okay. So I'll turn it over to Katrina and then whoever else wants to join in if there's time.
I think it's really interesting because I think we've had to develop some very specific skills in a very short period of time, and who would have possibly imagined the situation that we found ourselves in, deciding to go forward and then moving as many clubs as possible online. And we have an incredible tech team that made all of that possible, as well as making our contest possible as well. So I think we owe a great debt to the Toastmasters who put so much time and effort into making that possible for all of us. I also think we owe this year's area directors and this year's clubs who also made that possible. And I remember, I don't know, it was a tough week for me when I found myself without a job, and through no fault of my own. And I think there's many of us who found ourselves in that situation. And I, at that point, didn't realize how much of my life and comfort revolved around having structure. And I found that Toastmasters provided that for me. So it's funny that the thing that I loved so much that I wanted to put time and effort into serving it also served me at the time when I needed it the most. So I think it's interesting in any kind of endeavor. Sometimes you're putting effort in because you want to help other people, and it ends up helping yourself at the same time. I think that when we go forward, I think we can never turn the clock back precisely to what it was before this. I think we'll see ourselves having hybrid meetings, but I think that will, again, give us different opportunities. I think many of us miss in-person meetings. I think that Zoom meetings give us a certain amount of exposure, a certain amount of energy. I think we still have the camaraderie that we had before Zoom meetings, but it's still not the same. I know I'm a huge hugger, so I miss hugging people, and I can't wait to get back to that. But I think there'll be times where there's a snowstorm and you might get to a meeting and maybe you're the first or second person at the meeting and no one comes. But then we have the option of bringing our computer, turning it on and saying, okay, everybody, let's do this Zoom wise. So I think Zoom has opened up opportunities for us, not only now, but going forward in the future. And I think if you're somebody who's a division director or an area director in Saskatchewan and you have remote clubs, you have clubs that are now comfortable with Zoom. So that's going to make it even more comfortable for southern Saskatchewan, where I have clubs in Lethbridge and outlying areas, Medicine Hat, and areas like Moose Jaw, and some of the clubs in Alberta, southern Alberta and southern Saskatchewan. I think it'll bring us closer. So I think we're going to be able to take the best of our in-person meetings and the best of Zoom and create a hybrid that will work the best for us as a district going forward.
Yes, that's well said. Well said, Katrina, well said. I think that's for sure. Opportunities for all, opportunities for outside too. So I'm looking forward to getting new members from other cities into Calgary or into our clubs in our district. Yes, for sure. Karen, is there anything in the chat you want to address before we go on our break?
We are good. There's no outstanding questions for you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Karen. Thanks. I think we take a 3 or 4 minute break right now. I guess stretch your legs. Maybe use the washroom if you like, and come back in 3 minutes if you can for the second half of our Meet the Leaders.
Well, welcome back, everyone. We're now ready for the second part of our meeting. Our moderator for this session is Nandini Venkatesan. Now, Nandini tells me that this rhymes with delicatessen. So delicatessen, Venkatesan, Venkatesan, delicatessen. You got it? That's how it goes. Nandini has been in District 42 Circle of Gold feedback team leader. In the past, she has been recognized as the District 42 Area Governor of the Year, District 42 Pathways Ambassador, and a District 42 Contest Chair. Nandini is working on her path of motivational strategies and on her Level 5 elective, moderating a panel. In this time of change, flexibility, and adaptability, the opportunity to learn from other leaders can help us to develop our strengths to become stronger leaders. Please join me in welcoming to the fore your moderator, Nandini Venkatesan.
Welcome everybody to the second half of our leadership panel tonight. We have an opportunity here to learn from leaders. We learned from our leaders in the first half. How many of you, raise your hands, are ready to learn some more? Awesome. Well, that's what we're going to do. So let's get right to it. Let me introduce you to our panel tonight. First of all, we have Tammy Frenette, Division D Director. And Tammy has achieved her Advanced Communicator Bronze, and she's a Level 3 in Pathways Dynamic Leadership. She's also a dedicated member of FLIR Communicators, and she has coordinated the Seton Junior Youth Leadership Program. Please help me welcome Tammy. Tammy, do you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you, Tammy. Our second panelist tonight is Vince Aliberti. He's our Division E Director. On May 21st, 2020, Vince achieved his DTM. Congratulations, Vince. He's an enthusiastic member of Ad Libs Toastmasters, and he's been doing a lot of reflecting in the last few months, and he'll be publishing a book in 1 to 2 months on Amazon called Reflections, Life Lessons, Living One Day at a Time. Please help me welcome Vince. Hi, Vince. Nice to have you.
Hello, Nandini. Hello, everyone.
Our third panelist tonight is Rebecca Klepik. She's the Division F Director. Rebecca has achieved her competent leader, her competent communicator, and she's working on level 4 for effective coaching. As a committed member, she belongs to 3 clubs: Lightning Strikes, CMA, and of course, Calgary Advanced Toastmasters. She's been a terrific asset on the District 42 tech team, helping to run the online contests and helping clubs run their online meetings. Nice to have you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Nandini. I'm going to hop in. 4 clubs, Miss Inspired.
I tell you, that's what a good division director does. She hears something, she takes quick action, and she gets to the heart of the matter. Thanks, Rebecca. We now have an opportunity to learn a little more about our leaders. What inspires them? What drives them? What makes them take on the challenges of leadership? We are really lucky because we have people who are willing to step up to make our Toastmaster community better. So let's get to know our leaders a little bit better. We'll start off by asking all of our incoming division directors. We've heard you've been asked to be division director. So tell us, why have you taken this challenge on? And I'll just go in alphabetical order so we get to know them a little more about who's leading which division. Tammy, Vince, and Rebecca. Tammy, if you want to go first.
Thanks, Nandini. Yes, I also was asked, and I think it was realizing that I have been in my comfort zone for a little bit too long, and realizing that in order for me to step up and grow as a leader, I need to step out of the comfort zone and out of the club, because I've relied on and stayed within the club for the last 16 years. I have taken on different leadership roles within the office, so I was challenged at the time of being responsible for running projects from a project control standpoint. So it took on a lot of roles and responsibilities in through my career, and realizing that I really need to step up the game and being able to communicate effectively. And now that I'm in the department manager role, I have realized that in order to manage upwards, you need to be able to effectively communicate upwards and ensure that you are coming across succinct with your responses and making sure that they're clear, crisp, and looking at them having that complete understanding within a short period of time where it's very precise. And looking at not only what I've learned from the roles, but what else I can offer as being in a department manager role, I've been actually really involved heavily on mentoring of others to build our pipeline within our discipline. So that's really taught me a valuable lesson of making sure that others are always coming up following you as your succession plans throughout my career. And it really hit home as to, we have great leaders within the company and within the community, as our club is both company based and community is engaged also. So it's almost like a 50-50 balance of what's in our club right now. And it really helped show and make me see others' perspectives, because I had been pretty narrow-minded as to, I've been doing this way because this is how I've been trained to do it, by following their practices and procedures for the last 30 years. How do others do it? And how do I open up to learn those different approaches and get to learn and network with other people as to, hey, maybe this isn't always the best way to do it. How else can we do it? And that was part of my aha moment of, where do I need to help learn and grow? And what can I give back to others as what they have given me with mentoring me through the years?
Thanks, Tammy. You brought up a lot of important factors, I think, that when we talk about leadership, you talked about stepping out of our comfort zone, which for anybody, whether you're taking on a president's role, a new executive role, division director, or club growth director for Katrina, everyone's starting to step out of their comfort zone. And that's okay if you feel nervous and you're not sure. And I thought you raised another great point about perspective. And I think that's what leadership can do for all of us, is it can help us broaden our perspective as we take on leadership roles. So thank you, Tammy. And Vince, do you want to tell us a little bit more about what's brought you to this leadership position?
Sure. I ended up taking 4 or 5 years off from my Toastmaster journey because of personal reasons. Then what happened was that I had an opportunity to do a keynote talk at a Toastmaster event. And what was interesting was that Randy Mouse was there trying to help me out at the beginning. He was doing everything humanly possible to get the PowerPoint to work, right? And when he was doing that, I had the opportunity to look at all the people in the audience. And I saw a lot of the Toastmasters that I knew from the past. Nandini, you, Marvin, Freddie, Iris, many, many people. Anyways, a lot of memories started coming through my mind. And Brandy, you did everything humanly possible to help me out, man. I really appreciate that. But it made me think about community. The Toastmaster was really educators, but excellent leaders as well. So initially I was going to join the club where Anne Nakaska was at, and unfortunately, because of where I worked, it didn't pan out. I ended up going to live at Libs, and what happened was that Loretta put a bug in my ear. Why don't you do your DTM, right? So she's been coaching me all along. I have to thank Loretta because of it, right? In the back of my, and Katrina, of course, and Christina Cruz, all these people. And I really took I was asked, I said yes initially, and then I really hesitated because when I commit 150%. And I said, Christina, I think I'm going to pull back a little bit. And she goes, why? She's very convincing. Ultimately, I said yes. But I reflected before I truly said yes, and the following reasons. One, Toastmaster has enabled me to become a much better communicator and a much more efficient and effective leader, really. If you want to become a leader, being a leader within a nonprofit organization, that will help you out. So that's number one. And it'll help me get back to Toastmasters as a whole. Secondly, I really, from a personal development perspective, I really want to enhance my, given the area directors that I have. I have an opportunity to give my very best, everything that I've learned in 25 years in the corporate world, and nonprofits and everything, to these people. And at the same token, I'm open to receiving, so that we have a mutual relationship between their directors and myself and all the club members, large within my division. So when everything is said and done, the community has really inspired me to become an area director. My ability to give back, to also improve my leadership skills, and ultimately to be a good human being is to be a good Toastmaster. I'll leave it at that.
Awesome, Vince. That's great. I think what you've reminded us is the possibility that leadership and learning is always possible, and you never know what event when you're doing something. I was at the keynote that you gave, and I remember how excited you were as challenges came up, and you embraced the challenges. And you never know who's going to change your world. And I know Christina and Katrina and many of the other leaders, when people say, oh, I was never asked, well, those are people who are always asking. And it's terrific that you reflected on it, because I think reflection is a really good tool for leaders to consider before making decisions. And we're really delighted that you are coming back to Toastmasters with all your skills. Rebecca, now I know you a little bit because we've done some fun things together. And I've also had a great chance to observe you as a leader, because you have done an amazing job at part of the tech team. And I see lots of people nodding because they know that you're cool, You're laid back, but you get the job done. So tell us a little bit why now you've taken on this leadership position.
Thank you, Nandini. It's interesting. My story might be related to Vince, except for I never took 5 years off for Toastmasters. That didn't happen. Instead, it actually starts with my area director role last year. I was asked 3 times by 3 different people. First 2 times, I said no. Third time, okay. And they cornered me at a leadership training opportunity. And I'm not ashamed to say who. Katrina might be on this call today, Dana and Christina. They were very convincing. Fast forward to, I'm gonna say about a month ago. I originally was going to be a division director in a future year. Not this year, in a future year. I was asked by many of my fellow Toastmasters, fellow area directors, for me to step up at least 4 times. And I'm like, nope, 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 nope. Interesting enough, being a part of the tech team, once again, I had 2 Toastmasters. We were discussing about a lead transition out of the blue. They're like, okay, what are your future plans in Toastmasters? I'm thinking to myself, well, I want to be a great speaker. I want to be a great leader. I want to empower others. I want to make it eventually to the international stage. So I have selfish reasons, and I want to see others grow. Eventually that conversation led, okay, what about division director? I was a bit stunned for about 10 seconds or so, and then I said nope. Considered it, nope. Catherine and Ryan were on that call with me. And I don't know, I'm sure a lot of you have spoken with Catherine. Catherine is a very convincing leader. And I have a lot of respect for all of the leaders I've met. If they believe I can do it, I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to put in, as Vincent mentioned, 150%, if not more. For me, that was my decision because I realized I was being given a gift that I could go out, find future leaders, help them grow, potentially even pass over what I've learned as an area director and go from there. Thank you, Nandini.
Thanks, Rebecca. I think your idea, I mean, you planted a great seed, and might be a t-shirt saying even, but I love the idea that leadership is a gift. Sometimes we get stressed out by leadership. We're not sure, should we take it? Like, as you said, you can have a whole number of people believe in you, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you think you can do the job. And I think what we do really well in this community is the idea of encouraging each other, supporting each other, and many of the leaders have talked about the power of having mentors, saying, yes, Rebecca, yes, Vince, yes, Tammy, I think you can do this, and this is why you should be division director. So I think that that's really wonderful to hear. Now, Vince, I'm going to ask you a question so we can get to know a little bit better about you as a leader. What values are important to you as a leader?
The values that are critically, like baseline, critically important to me, and then I will add 4 more, are honesty, integrity, first and foremost, passion, compassion, empathy. And here, I know it's coming from a guy, but love. Because the world is separated into fear and love. And I tend to lead with love. No one else other than the people here will know that, right? But those are my baseline. Now, there are 4 more that are critically important, and to be honest with you, it's why I like working with everyone, but Christina Cruz, I hope you're paying attention here. She has these 4 that I'm going to mention and are extremely important from a leadership perspective. Courage. the ability not to be, it's not about being afraid. It's about having that fear and walking in it, embracing it, even if you're covered in it, walking through it and smelling like roses. Having that courage, she has that. And I've always admired that in her from the very first day. Justice, doing the right thing for the right reason all the time, no exceptions, no BS. That's extremely important. One thing that I've worked on the last 15 years is temperance or self-control. It's all about making sure to test my impressions, making sure to be open to other people, my impressions. If I'm going to say something, think it through and then act it, right? Out of respect for others, right? Because this conversation is not about me, it's about others. And last but not least, which is critically important, self-awareness, because through that self-awareness, what happens is that you get that perspective. Once you get that perspective, you're able to get that wisdom that Jeff spoke about earlier on during this meeting, during this panel. And once you have that wisdom, you're able to make wise, courageous choices. Be a person of justice and do the right thing, and ultimately have that self-control and objectively look at a situation and act accordingly. So those are the values that I treasure as a leader, and that I treasure in Christina.
Thanks, Vince. Yes, I believe Christina is here, our
Yes,
incoming district director. Yeah, it's always nice to know what the people are saying, isn't it, Christina? But it's really true. We've got some amazing leaders who have led the path in a value-based leadership. Vince, I know you're a leader, so I'm going to get you to do this to help the people that are listening. Can you, in the chat box, just write down again a reminder what your values are? And that would be a good learning experience for all of us to look back and reflect, and as you talked about, see how that affects our self-awareness, which is the last one.
Absolutely. I'll do that right now.
Awesome. Rebecca, I'm going to come back to you now. Tammy's got some work-related challenges going on, so she has stepped out to take on some other leadership challenges. So I'm going to ask you a question about, can you share with us, I've seen it happen on the tech team, and it sounds like as area director, and I'm going to ask you, do you have another personal experience where growing as a leader is something that you can share with the audience, what you've learned from that? Because I think it's something we can all learn from other leaders. When they've grown, it makes us and reminds us how we might grow if we take on leadership positions.
Thank you. And that is an excellent question. What I think has helped me grow, especially as a leader this year, is definitely some of the opportunities I've gained in the last 6 months and my area director role. I'm going to use it as also a little tip for any area directors that might be listening. Some things that I've grown and learned in my role as area director, I wasn't sure of how to approach my clubs. I didn't want to walk in right away and say, "Hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm your area director." I was nervous about that. I know it's Toastmasters, but I'm still going somewhere where I haven't met these people before. However, in the back of my mind, I always knew they would be wonderful. And of course, it was absolutely right. Every single Toastmasters I've met, whether it's at leadership training, my clubs, the clubs I've even gone outside to visit that aren't in my area, they are all wonderful. So right there, it was an aha moment. I am coming in as a fellow Toastmaster. What can I do to lead some of these clubs in this area? The biggest lesson that I realized is all I have to let them know is that I am there to support them. That is the easiest way that I found. Because one, it was easy for me because I love supporting people. I love developing relationships at the meeting. And once I said that, I found communication came quite a bit, it came easier. Whether it was a phone call, an email, a Zoom online meeting, as soon as I said that I was there for them, I was there to listen to them and relay any messages that came through from the district. I realized that was the best moment of my life. So I had a lot of mini moments that were awesome because I got to do this a lot of times. I got to develop that relationship. And without knowing it, I was growing as a leader because now I can call anyone and say, hey, you know this Toastmasters thing? Come along, I want to introduce you to it. So for me, direct communication, I was able to build on that and apply it to all of my clubs, all of my areas. And now I encourage others to start making these relationships, start growing, because that trust building starts at the foundation. That's kind of what I learned throughout. And it keeps growing and growing. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. It sounds like you've had quite a year. You're just growing and growing. But what I love is the fact that we often see leaders who seem very confident, they seem very clear and focused, and we don't realize sometimes, just like when you start your speeches, sometimes people look really confident when they speak, how nervous we are on the inside. And I think having that universal feeling, knowing that leaders can be nervous or not comfortable, or learning as you were doing, I think is some reassurance. And I think it's probably reassuring for some of the people listening that, hey, yeah, I get nervous too. And gee, Rebecca looks so confident all the time now. I don't think she gets nervous anymore. And it's nice for us to know that you can be nervous, you can be anxious, you can make mistakes. And this is a place that you get the support to become a leader. So it's fantastic to watch you grow this year, Rebecca. I know a lot of people have said that, and we see something, but it's something, as Vince talked about, self-awareness when we see it ourselves. So thank you for sharing your story today. I'm going to give a chance now to people in the audience if they want a chance to ask our division directors some pressing questions. There, you can use the chat box or just raise your hand if you've got a question. Jay?
Hi, my name is Jay Kumar. I'm from Igniters and Spring Forward. And this question, of course, Karen gave me the hint on succession planning. I've been hearing from Barry, Narvis, Troy, Mona, Larry, Days, the same issue of fishing for division and area directors. So my question is on succession planning. Direct, simple question. What is the one thing we are going to do different this time on succession planning? The question.
Thank you, Jay. Tammy, I know you've just come back, and I'm just going to reiterate, Jay was asking about succession planning, and what's one thing that you're going to do differently? And we'd like an opportunity to hear more from you tonight. So can you tell us one thing you're going to do differently from succession planning as a division director this year?
Thank you. I'm sorry about having to step away. Succession planning is key to success and making sure that we can take on different roles and make sure that our roles are completely covered. And you don't want someone to have to walk in blindly and not know what their role is. So my idea for succession planning, I'm going to steal it from Gail Shirley as to what she did for covering off her area director role for the Division D. She actually had engaged her Irma, who was going to take over for that role. She actually engaged with her in January. So Irma has had 6 months worth of training or so from Gail Shirley in what that role is going to entail. She's been able to attend different meetings with Gail. she's been able to ask Gail a whole lot of questions to make sure that she actually fully understood the role and the expectations of that role before she actually stepped in. And that is how I plan on my succession plan for next year, is looking for someone to actually step into the role early and actually have them help and follow in my shoes and understand completely and how the clubs are actually working and which clubs we're finding challenges with, so that they're fully aware and actually have met the individuals that are the past area directors and the new area directors, so that they have that connection. And it's always great to have the face-to-face contact with individuals prior to taking on a role and actually get to meet someone and build the relationships early.
Great. Thanks, Tammy. I think it's something that's worth discussing earlier rather than later. And if you're putting into plans now what you need to do later, you have a much better rate of being able to attract leaders. So if you have the new incoming division directors putting their arm out to ask you a question about leadership, you know that they're starting early, which is another good trait for leaders. Plan early, start your plan early, and as Arunima says, have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C, because plan A might not go the way you want. Does anybody else have one more? We're going to take one more question before we do a fun lightning round with all our leaders. Anybody have a pressing question you've got to get out tonight about leadership?
I have a question to anyone who wants to answer.
Okay, I'm gonna give it to Rebecca and to Vince to round out the evening tonight. Arunima.
Okay, thank you, Nandini. My question is, in a situation where you need a volunteer and you have exhausted all your options, what do you do?
Rebecca, take it away.
I was going to say, ask again. The reason I say that is because in my case, I was asked, I don't know, 5 or more times to be division director, and I'm here. I am planning on going back to ask a few others that I asked in Division C if they're willing to step up an area director, and I know one of them, if I keep asking, I'm sure it'll happen. So that's the first plan. Keep asking, maybe explain your situation, and if possible, do it in person, because that's the best way to gauge someone's interaction, to find out their goals, their communications, and then maybe potentially laying it or letting them know, this is why I believe it would fit into your goals, into your future endeavors. That would be my logic. Just try again, maybe give it a bit and then ask them again.
Well, I think you're teaching us about persistence, which I think is a great trait of leadership. Ask again, give it a while, ask again, because you just never know. Sometimes they need time for reflection, a little bit of self-awareness, and you never know who's going to step up. And Vince, if you want to close up the evening by telling us how you're going to deal with this challenge next year.
With regard to volunteers, I think Rebecca hit the nail right on the head. And the reason why I'm saying that is I've been in sales for a while, and rejection, I used to have a full head of hair until about 2 years ago. I'm only kidding. And I get rejected 90% of the time. And for example, there's this one CEO that I'm a recruiter right now, and I'm trying to place developers. And the whole point is nonstop going and going and going. But one thing is, it's not just about hitting that wall. It's find different ways. You don't have to go through the wall. It could be over the wall, to the side of the wall, this and that. But think about other than yourself. What value can I provide to this individual? How can they grow given this experience? It's not about me. When I make it about me and the ego gets in, that's when I lose myself. When I make it about the individual and the value that the individual and how they can grow in the volunteer capacity that I would want them in, let's say, or Arunima would like them in, then they have an opportunity to grow, right? Who would want to take that opportunity? But I agree with Rebecca. You need to consistently ask, and make sure to illustrate the value.
Yeah, what's in it for them? Quoting Christina.
That's what you find is that somebody will quote another leader who will quote another leader. And I don't think it's stealing. Somebody says, oh, I'm stealing so-and-so's idea. I think that we're all borrowing really good ideas. And if you just remind everybody who gave the original idea, you give them some credit to the leader, I think as leaders, we are all growing. Well, I want to say it's been a fantastic evening. I think anytime we get an opportunity to meet our leaders one-on-one, get to know them a little bit better, we can learn from them. And I think, Vince, that you alluded to it, the idea that in Toastmasters, we are here for growth. And as Rebecca said, growth is around the corner. Sometimes you need to be asked more than once, but when you're asked, look how far you can grow. And then we learned from Tammy the idea of perspective. As leaders, we may be doing things a certain way, but imagine if somebody else can change your perspective to do things better, to be more helpful, or to be more supportive. Now we're going to do something fun, because I always say leadership is not only about taking action, it's also about learning a little bit about our leaders in a fun way. Because as many of you alluded, relationships begin and they are the core of what we're doing. So I want for all our 7 leaders tonight, you can come on, only 10 seconds for your question, then I'm going to ask you, we're going to do a lightning question. I'm going to start with Katrina and work my way A through F. This is a great chance for everybody to know who's who in the Toastmaster leadership. Katrina, I'm going to ask you a question. This is your challenge, everybody, 10 seconds or less. Katrina, tell us a favorite game that you love to play.
Family Feud. We did it on Saturday and it was really fun.
Awesome.
And I like being the host, so then I get to say when you're wrong.
Perfect. Jeff, tell us a place that you love traveling to.
I spent 4 years in Tanzania, and I really recommend that as a fabulous place to visit. It's got the most amazing national parks, amazing wildlife. It's just an amazing place to visit. I'd really, really recommend it.
Fantastic. That's great to know about you. Arunima, tell us about your favorite midnight snack.
Oh, my favorite midnight snack is almond chocolate.
Ooh, I want to be around your place at midnight for sure. Randy, tell us what you're going to make or bake tomorrow or the day after.
Irish soda bread.
Ooh, I'm going to your place first, I think, and then I'm going to Arunima's around midnight. Sounds great.
Mail to Regina Randy, please.
Tammy, tell us a favorite sport that you love to either play or watch.
Golfing, and I get to do it tomorrow night.
Woo! All right, so we're going a few rounds with Tammy. We're passing by Randy's house for soda bread, and you know where we're all going to be at midnight.
Don't tell Christina, though, because I'll be late for a meeting, I think.
Tammy, you tell her. You tell her. You're a leader now. You tell her. Vince, tell us about a favorite book that's inspired you.
Favorite book that's inspired me? A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle.
Fantastic.
The importance of presence and the importance of just being a good human being.
Fantastic. I think he's changed a lot of lives. And Rebecca, tell us what you love, one thing about your dogs.
They're big and cuddly. I can just go whoosh. I'm not going to squish them.
Well, thank you all to our leaders tonight. All of you will get an opportunity. We've got an opportunity to get to know them a little better. And I think we've got a fantastic year ahead of us. When you see them, this is a chance to talk to them. We know how conversational they've been, how personal they are, and how easy that they'll approach. And as Rebecca says, they're all Toastmasters. So why not go up to them and ask a question about leadership or ask something about what is concerning you so that the leaders in our district can help empower you. One of my favorite leaders, our Toastmaster tonight, Ray, he is full of wisdom. And I think that that's something that we've had tonight whether it's on the chat. So I'm going to encourage all of you, save the chat because there's some real wisdom tonight. And we've got many more opportunities in the year coming ahead to get to know our leaders. So Ray, this is a great chance for you to share a little wisdom you got tonight before you close the meeting. Thanks to all our leaders.
And thank you, Nandini. And thank you, Marvin, as well. Among other things, we learned about the true scope of opportunities for leadership that are offered by membership and involvement in Toastmasters, asking people to serve, dedicating to struggling clubs as well as committing to creating new clubs, helping people develop in pathways, transitioning to online, mentoring, companions on the journey, members at your back, recognition of our own gifts, generosity of spirit, idealism, lead with love, courage, justice, self-awareness, and temperance. Every unknown Toastmaster is a future friend, succession planning, persistence. These are the few of the highlights of this evening's program from Calgary Advanced Toastmasters Club. I thank Arunima, Randy, Katrina, Jeff, Tammy, Vince, Rebecca, Division Directors all, and Katrina, Club Growth Director, and our district team, and our moderators, Marvin and Nandini. I feel comfortable saying on behalf of District 42 community and everyone who is attending this evening that we accept your leadership and we thank you for accepting an amazing leadership opportunity. Madam Timer, can you please share with us how things went from a time point of view?
You need to unmute Loretta.
Good grief, Charlie Brown. All right. So part one, the panel discussion. I had Katrina, you had 3 minutes on the first one and 2:44 on the second. So you came in at the wire or just under. Jeff came well under the wire, 1 minute 10, 1 minute 40, and 1 minute and 23. Arunima, you had 1 minute and 9 seconds, 2 minutes and 21 seconds, and 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Randy, 2 minutes and 15 seconds, 1 minute and 55, and 2 minutes and 55 seconds. Part two was the panel discussion with Tammy, Vince, and Rebecca. So Tammy, you spoke twice. You had 2 minutes and 30 seconds plus 2 minutes on your second one. And then Vince, you were at 3:20 and 3:09. And then Rebecca, 3:20 and 2:47. And then Rebecca, 2:44 and 3:09. Everything else was well under time. So I think we did well as Toastmasters and our time craziness that we have. Back to you, Ray.
Thank you, Loretta. We have a very special guest this evening, our District Director-elect, Christina Cruz. Christina, can we hear a few words from you?
Thank you, man of many hats. I love all your hats. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I apologize for being late. I was on a district leadership committee meeting, so it looks like we have some more leaders for the division directors who are waiting to hear about area directors. It's great. I just want to give you a really quick message about how incredible our team is for next year. We had an all leaders call last night, and we had 14 of our new leaders already on that call for just to find out what was going on and to start connecting with their predecessors. So if you have a new area director, welcome them. And if you have, as you do on this call, new division directors, support them. District 42 is getting stronger by the day, and I appreciate 100% division director attendance here tonight. Way to go, Cats, and thank you for having me.
And do we have any announcements for the good and benefit of the club?
Yes, we do. I want to let everybody know to save the date, July 13th. What is July 13th? It's a Monday night, and it is the beginning of the Calgary Advanced Toastmasters Summer Camp. We did it last year in person. This year, we're doing a webinar series, and I will be sending out some information, more detailed information, and start marketing almost as soon as possible. Two of our presenters are here tonight, Vince Aliberti and Rebecca Klepek. And we're going to have also Iris Talbot, Alan Moore, and myself, and Russ Dantu is also going to be doing it. So everybody will have their own presentation. The final details on the subject matter will be coming soon, and I hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader Loretta. Do we have any other announcements?
Can we also—
Hi, Ray. Whoop, go ahead.
No, you go.
Oh, I was going to say, Ray, it's Anne, the VP of Education for CATS. The last Monday or the second last Monday in June, I believe the 22nd, we are having our DTM celebration. We have like 6 or 7 members are achieved their DTM or will achieve their DTM by the end of June. And so we want to party in whatever way we do that. And so anyone who's on the call, you're welcome. The more the merrier, and we're really looking forward to it.
Hey, DTM 2020, rock and roll. Thank you very much, Katrina.
I just want to make sure everyone knows that this weekend is going to be an exciting weekend because we have the district table topics contest and the district's international contest. I think they're both going to be exciting. Who doesn't want to see the best in our district at the top of their game when it comes to answering impromptu questions, and also our international speakers, one of whom will be moving forward to the semifinals and possibly the international stage. So if you don't have anything better planned, like nothing, who can be better than that? Then make sure you're joining us for our contests. And the details, of course, are on d42tm.org. And we look forward to seeing you at the speech contests.
Do take opportunity to watch our champions. Do we have any other further announcements for the good and benefit of the club? Hearing none, I adjourn this meeting.